we made it to the beginning of another week. Okay, this is my response to everyone else's videos. Sarah talked about, once again, we're burning people at the stake, and she made a comment about how at least we don't do that now, but we never know about the future, wouldn't put anything past us. And I was thinking, yeah, like, I'm not sure what we're going to see in the future. And then you also talked about why couldn't the women just live together as women in faith? Why did they have to have the church's permission? And I feel the same. I think a lot of times we need to ask for permission or feel like we need to ask for permission. And I wonder if it's really necessary, if we can really just do things on our own without having to ask permission from someone in authority. Brandon, you talked a lot about begging as a pastor and how our church would feel if we went around begging. And I think they would be embarrassed, but also I feel that same situation that you were talking about where, you don't take pay raises, you work more time than they pay you for, and yet they still don't want to pay you anything. I'm having the same sorts of conversations about them not wanting to pay my bleak continuing ed for the year because they never had to before. It's a fine line. Like, how much do we give back to our church, and how much do we need to take from them to survive, to maintain ourselves, to show that we have worth too, that it's worth giving to us. And then you talked about the combination of philosophy and theology together and how you enjoyed seeing that. And I was a philosophy religion minor too, and so I liked that comparison. And you talked a lot about how they didn't talk to people who believe differently from themselves. Instead, they just acted out in violence or whatever. And I think we're seeing that sort of right now, that nobody wants to talk about our different beliefs and understand each other and find empathy. We just want to retaliate and yell and scream. So I agree. It's a lot easier to talk and to hear other people, and it's a lot nicer too. Rich, you talked about Francis of Assisi a lot, and yeah, I really enjoyed that part too. In the past, I've had to read some really boring stuff on him, and I've had to watch some really weird movies about him, and I just thought the stuff that we read this week was much more interesting, and I really got a different point of view of him, so I appreciated that. And I think that as far as having a wild side goes, I think it makes us more human to those around us, to know that we're not just these people up here, but that we can relate to people. And so life experience is important, and it's important to have empathy, but sometimes the fact that we can relate to each other is important too. So I hope you all have a good week. Talk to you on Friday.